Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today my storage video is going to be about pens, pencils, paint and ink. So we're starting off with my markers, and we're here on my main craft desk. If you haven't seen the main video, then I would suggest you take a peek at that first, because that will kind of orient where everything is. But my main craft desk, I've put the markers literally right above where I work. There's my craft mat that I work on, and the markers are right there, because obviously it's much simpler, and this is something that I didn't have before, that when I'm working, rather than having to go and pick out the markers and then think and bring them to where I'm working, I can literally just choose them as I go along, and they're right there in front of me. And so it has proved a lot simpler. So I've got them several different kinds of markers, and I've obviously got the ones that are in the cubes, which I'll show you in a minute, but just across here, these ones here, just they're in their own little box. It's a Zig brush markers, art and graphic twin markers, and they're watercolour marker, and it's really helpful just keeping them like this. And I thought it looked quite nice just putting them on the table there, just another bit of colour to the side. So that's those markers, so I've kept them just as they are. But the main markers are the ones that are in these cubes. So the cubes are the Defecto cubes. Basically you get them and you build them up as you want. So these ones here come with the cross in it, so I bought those, and then you get these little bits that you attach them, so you can combine them as you want. So you can build them up, you can do them longer, just a single layer, you could do it stepped, you can basically put it together how it suits you. I originally didn't have these at the bottom, and I'd got these for something else and then decided it didn't work. And then when I put these and they were flat on the floor, I actually didn't like it straight down onto the table like that. It somehow felt a bit cramped, so I tried putting these underneath, and it really worked anyway, because it allowed me some space to put some other bits. Now the details of this section is in the main video. So then I've put the markers above that in these cross cubes, however, with the exception of these here, which I've got my Zig brush tip markers, which I've just left in the basket. The way that these come, they've got quite a fat lid, and so when I put them in here, in order to see the colour, you want them this way round so you can see the end. But if you do that, you've got the very much fatter lid, which is making the back part get much heavier, and so it's tipping the pens down eventually, and so it just ended up being a bit of a pain. And actually I didn't want to add another layer to the right or the left. It was a perfect size, it matched up with my craft mat exactly. So I was quite happy with those in here. I don't use those as much, so I thought no, I'll just leave those underneath, and then I didn't need to add any more cubes, and it just kind of worked for me. So what I've got is down the bottom here is my Anna Griffin watercolour markers, which are really pretty. They're very nice markers actually. I've had them a while now, so I don't know if she still does them. And then in these three sections I have got my Stampin' Up Right markers. I haven't got all of the colours yet, so they look a little bit empty, but I will be building those up. In the cube above, I've got sort of a couple of the spares, so the refills for the Copic markers. So I've just got the blender solution, and also the colour that I use almost the most, which is a skin tone colour. So those two are in there, and that's really helpful. And then I've got some Pro Marker metallic markers, so those are in the bottom there as well. Just sort of kept the metallics together sort of randomly. And then these three, again similar, mirroring what I did below, with the three like that being the ones that are the same. These are all distress markers, so they're there. So then these 6 cubbies here take all my pro markers and my Copics. Now I actually have mixed them up. You'll also see that there's some with the Copics there's a mixture of the Chow and the Sketch. So I've mixed in the pro markers, which are a mixture of both the Flex pro markers and the regular pro markers, but they're all mixed together within their colour because they're all alcohol markers. So you know, you can mix and match them, it's not a problem. And originally I had separated them into pro markers and Copics, and it ended up being quite a lot of cubbies that were sort of not that full. Also with the pro markers, they haven't got any colour on the end to show you what they are, so it kind of just ended up with cubbies that just look black. And it didn't really give you any guide as to what they were. Now I could have, you know, coloured in some bits of paper, sticky paper, and punched it and put it on the ends of the pro markers or whatever, but to be honest, I don't have the patience for that. So, and I don't think it was necessary. Mixing them up is fine, and then I know that, you know, this section, because of the Copics, I know that they're going to be these sort of shades with regards to my pro markers as well, so I know roughly what everything is. And then I just sorted it into this kind of rainbow with, you know, my reds, my oranges, yellows, onto my greens, aquas, blues, blacks, and blender solution there. And also I've got my fine liner and my white gel pen in there as well, and then my skin tones and browns and russets and stuff, and then my greys, my warms and my cool greys. I don't have any neutral or anything of those greys. Then my lavenders and sort of pinky purpley lavenders, pinks, different shades of pinks, and then that naturally blends back up into the reds, so it kind of follows through quite nicely, I think. So that is the markers. As with all the storage videos, these cubbies, etc., I will put links and everything for where I got them. And so from my main desk you go along, and if you see the main video, you'll see these cubbies and exactly how they relate. But in the middle of those is like a section that I got my dad to split into, having this extra shelf which he popped in for me on all of that section. So if you can see the next door, the pink, for example, you can see the shape and the size of that cubby. But then if you go next to it, where I've added in that extra shelf, and that just gave me some extra storage, because some of these things you just don't need that depth. So this is where I put a number of different bits and pieces, but just for the purposes of these videos, we're just taking a peek at the paints. In all honesty, there was no particular reason that I popped it there. It kind of doesn't really fit in with anything that's there, but it just sort of worked, and it was quite colourful, and I think it's quite nice sometimes, even if it doesn't quite make sense, that it kind of just looks pretty, and I think that was nice. So for the paints, what I did was as I say, put them on the shelf, but I put them in these little drawers. So you would have seen these a few times now, depending on the order of the videos as they go up. These are these little fridge drawers, and again, I've used these a lot. I found these very helpful. Again, I will put details of them as with everything on the videos and on the blog post. So I've taken my paints here, which I love these are so pretty, aren't they gorgeous? And these are Do Crafts paints, and they're just acrylic paints, and then there's a white at the back here, so that's those. I've got another set here, just grab those off, again with in this drawer, and it just keeps it really neat and tidy, which is helpful. And also I keep them up the wrong way up, because the pigment then settles at the top of the bottle effectively, and so it makes it easier when you shake it up, because it's not just all settled at the bottom. And also, of course, you get to see the colours, so it's a lot simpler. At the back is a couple of the Do Crafts that didn't quite fit in the main one, and these are just some Piebo, I think. I don't know how you say it, I'm afraid. Piebo, Pibio, I'm not sure. They're just some that I had already as well, so they're, you know, nice. And then there's a couple of random ones here that are actually, they're the same brand, but they're a different shape. And these are actually glow in the dark. I haven't tried these yet, but I think that would be quite fun. And then finally, just underneath the two drawers, because it just fitted. Originally I didn't put them here, and then I thought I really need to keep them together. And these are my watercolour, beautiful Kuretake watercolour paints, which I love. So that's those, and they just sit underneath. My dad's put on all of these shelves these little blocks, which he's put at the right position to stop these drawers going back right to the back, so they sit just at the right place. So that's my paints. And then the pencils, I had shown you that in the main video because I haven't as yet put those out. I've got the box which I showed you in the overview video, which is in my computer desk, shall we say, my work desk, and I've popped it under there because there was a perfect space for it, and I haven't as yet even painted the box or anything, so I haven't put the pencils in. But if you want to see that, then take a peek at the overview video. Okay, so the final thing that we're going to take a look at in this video is my ink storage. Just before we go over to the ink that I on the corner there, just to show you that on the main desk, I forgot to show you, I think it's on the main overview video, but I've got a little rack here. I think this was by Cropper Hopper, but again, details will be listed for you. But this is just where I keep the inks that I use all the time, so like my Memento inks, my VersaFine, my StazOn, my Versamark, etc., or my archival, etc., etc. So the ones that you use, you know, all the time, not your coloured inks as it were. So that's what's in that box. So now over to my main ink storage. Okay, so at the end of the cubbies, this is where I've got my ink storage. So you can see I've got two Stampin' Up racks, and one is full of Stampin' Up ink and the other is not. It's got other inks in as well, which we'll look at in a minute. And then behind that I've got a couple of those little refrigerator clear acrylic drawers as well, just to hold a few bits. So let's go a little bit closer. So here I've got my Stampin' Up inks, which I have separated out, whoops, into colour, and I've put the little ends on, which are kind of cute. So I've got my greens and aquas on there, I've got my pinks and purples there, I've got my reds and kind of soft pinks down to oranges there, and then yellows and taupes and browns up the top. At the top here I've got a few distress inks in there's like little cubbies. I can't really get in to show you that unfortunately, but I'm sure you know there's like little compartments. And then also I've got the little re-inkers that are for the Stampin' Up ink, which I just managed to knock over. So there's two cubby compartments full with that, and then the last one, there's like 4 sections, one over each one. There's like a square, and this last one is empty. And then over to here, again, I've got another Stampin' Up rack. This one has got my blues and blacks there, and the white at the bottom. I think that's the only Stampin' Up ink on here. Then here I've got the Impress inks. I've got a couple of those. So they're just at the bottom. You can just about catch those on the camera. At the top I've got some coloured mementos, so just some standard colours, browns, taupes, blue and a green. And then here I've got a Brilliance tricolour ink pad and another one as well. And then some of these gorgeous, I love these kaleidoscope inks. I don't know if you've seen them. They're so pretty, and you can kind of move it close together or leave them separated like that. So I've got a few of those, and they pop in quite nicely as well into that space. And then here I've got my Simon Says stamp ink pads. So I haven't got very many of these. I really want to get some more Simon Says. And then back to my Stampin' Up. And then at the top here, I've got a few odd sort of spares, like a spare Versamark and Stays On refill. And what else? Oh, an extra. I ended up for some reason with an extra one of this Stampin' Up mint macaroons, so I just kept that wrapped up the top there. And then I've got I've got a whole bundle of these, where are you? There you are. Little daubers, I think they're called. Can't find you. There you are. I'm trying to get it so it focuses. So they've got like a spongy end and both ends, and you kind of go through, I don't know, stencils or whatever. So I've got a bundle of those up on the top. So that's those. But then behind that, so just in here, you can just see the ink pad there. So you can see I've got this rack, let's move those, there's two there. So I've got this one here, so it's another one of these lovely little drawers, but this one is the same depth but much narrower. And in the top of that I've got two of the Distress ink boxes. One has got my Alter New ink, one has got the little Distress ink cubes, and then I've got two of these big ink pads. But underneath, I don't know if you can just see, I've got all these little colour box pigment inks, which are cute as button and really nice colours. So they're quite hard to show you though, because as soon as I tip them they're going to move, but hopefully you can just see there from the side some really pretty colours, and then that way as well, making sure you're in view. So that's that one. And then I've got two drawers, and the great thing is that because they sit inside each other like this, so they actually go like that, but they sit nicely, and then the other one on top, they kind of hold themselves in position and hold the inks. And you just see from the top there, you can just see, hopefully, where are you? There we go, how they're positioned in there, so they just kind of open up. And then some more colours there for you. So that's all my inks. So that's today's video, taking a look at how I store my markers, pencils, inks and paints. So kind of all the same theme. So I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at the actual things that I've got, but also how I've stored them. I hope you find it useful. Again, as I said before, on all of these videos I will put links as best as I can to the storage items that I've used. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll come back and see some of the others. But for now, I will see you again soon. Bye.